In this episode, we're taking a look at the new DEITY V-Mic D4 camera top shotgun microphone. It also can be used on a boom pole, and in fact, in this entire episode, you're hearing the D4 recorded into a Canon C70, and it is boomed above me just right here. So first, let's get you some samples of this microphone compared to the DEITY V-Mic D3 Pro and the VideoMic NTG from Rode. It is an old maxim of mine that when you have excluded the impossible, whatever remains, however improbable, must be the truth. It is an old maxim of mine that when you have excluded the impossible, whatever remains, however improbable, must be the truth. It is an old maxim of mine that when you have excluded the impossible, whatever remains, however improbable, must be the truth.
It is an old maxim of mine that when you have excluded the impossible, whatever remains, however improbable, must be the truth. It is an old maxim of mine that when you have excluded the impossible, whatever remains, however improbable, must be the truth. It is an old maxim of mine that when you have excluded the impossible, whatever remains, however improbable, must be the truth.
It is an old maxim of mine that when you have excluded the impossible, whatever remains, however improbable, must be the truth. It is an old maxim of mine that when you have excluded the impossible, whatever remains, however improbable, must be the truth. It is an old maxim of mine that when you've excluded the impossible, whatever remains, however improbable, must be the truth.
Now, the idea is that you can make your own choice, use your own ears to figure out which of those you think sound the best. We just wanted to provide you some audio samples to do some of that yourself. Next, when there are sounds in the room, in the space where you're recording that are off axis, they can actually sound a little bit different. There's coloration, there's a polar pattern or directionality to the microphone. Here's a little sample of that. So I'm going to go ahead and turn so that we're 90 degrees off axis from the front of the microphone. And that's what we're talking into right now, the side of the microphone. Continue to turn that. I'm turning all the way back to the rear of the microphone at 180 degrees off axis. Next, how does this microphone deal with sibilance? Sibilance is the sizzling noise you get when someone says the letter S or C or some other letters. Here's a sample. She sells seashells by the seashore. By the seashore, she sells seashells. The D4 comes with both a foam cover and it also comes with a fur cover that you can put over that. Here's a sample outdoors to see how that works.
And then we'll come around a little bit, see if there's any whooshing of wind that happens when I'm moving around like this, as if we were vlogging a little bit.
We also tested how RF immune the microphone is. What does that mean? When you put a radio transmitting device near a microphone, sometimes the microphone will pick that up as a sort of a digital crackly noise. And so we used our mobile phone here. We ran Wi-Fi, we ran LTE, we made a cellular call, and in all cases, we didn't pick up any sort of interference from the microphone, which is really good because the little sliding shock mount here has a spot on the front where you can attach a small wireless microphone transmitter. And so having that transmitter close, it's really important that the microphone be able to reject any sort of radio frequency, any sort of transmission coming out of those transmitters, and it does a great job. Here's a sample with the wireless transmitter from DJI, the DJI mic, connected to the D4 and then transmitting over to a Panasonic GH5. This is what it sounds like. What we'll do is just, we won't do any processing, just normalize it to -23 LUFS. Handling noise. When you have a microphone sitting on top of the camera in particular, or if at the end of a boom pole and you're moving things around, it's really important that the shock mount prevent that vibration from the camera, either when you're handling it or the boom pole, from transferring to the microphone capsule and creating this low frequency sort of rumbling sound. And in our test, the shock mount itself did a really good job at that. What you can expect here is I move the camera around, even if I wobble it. I think what you're hearing are the little, these like little tassels for the camera strap on the side of the camera. That's what you're actually hearing right now. But as I move it around, see what the handling noise is like as I walk. It's hard for you to see me right now. This is actually the rim light. Now I'm standing by the key light. Ooh, it's burning out. Too hot. Okay, so there's an example of the handling noise. Now this microphone is battery powered. The great thing, it is a replaceable battery. You can use your own battery. You're not tied to an inbuilt battery. And I think that's one of the big advantages this mic has over some of the more expensive camera top shotgun microphones that we've seen in recent years. That even includes the D3 Pro and the VideoMic NTG from Rode. So in this case, if you run out of charge, you put a new battery in and you keep going. On those, you'd actually have to hook it up to something and charge it. And when, after several years of use, those batteries kind of lose their capability of holding a charge, then it becomes a little bit of a problem. You have to either send it in to have it replaced, or maybe they have some sort of kit you can get. But in any case, this is really easy. In our test, we were able to power it for well over 24 hours. The spec that DEITY cites is up to 60 hours. That's with a lithium battery. So just be aware of that. If you are looking for a full 60 hours, you're going to want to purchase a lithium AAA battery to work with this. But with a little alkaline battery that came with it, we're now probably somewhere around 28 hours, and it's still going strong. Let's run through the pros and cons really quickly. I think overall it has a generally balanced sound that has a little bit of a mid-forward boost to it. I think it EQs really well, so it has, to me, it's like that 1940s sound a little bit, just mild, but you can actually EQ it and make it sound really nice as well. So when we had those samples at the start where we didn't do any sort of processing, you can hear exactly what I'm talking about. I love that there is a variable gain dial, and so it's a very smooth dial, and you can dial it anywhere from -5, actually a pad, it reduces the incoming sound, all the way up to plus 10 dB, and it works great with our Panasonic GH5. We also tested it here and are recording here with the Canon C70, and we're getting great results. On the shock mount, there is a 3/8 inch tap, so you can attach it to most standard boom poles. It also comes with an adapter for 1/4 inch, so if you want to put it on something with a 1/4 inch screw, you can do that as well. And that's exactly what we're doing here. We have it on a mic stand with a 3/8 inch stud, and that allows us to get it exactly where we need it. Now, there's only one port on this microphone, and it is a USB-C port. And so my first question was, well, how do I get this into a camera that has a 3.5 millimeter microphone input? And the answer is, it is actually a smart port, as DEITY is calling it. You have USB-C on one side, and it comes with a cable that you plug USB-C in, and it has a 3.5 millimeter cable on the other end. So it actually then converts the output on that port to analog to get it into your camera. If, on the other hand, you're connecting to a digital device of some sort, whether that be a Mac, PC, an Android, iOS device, then you can do that as well using a USB-C to USB-C cable. The microphone automatically powers on and off based on the device you have it connected to. So when the device you have it connected to is on, the microphone comes on. When that device is off, the microphone automatically shuts off. And it works really well. So far, we have not had any issues with it. All of our cameras have turned it on, and same with hooking it up to the computer, just turned on right away. The microphone is mounted on a shock mount, and that, of course, is connected to a shoe mount. But the nice thing is that you can actually adjust that rail along this shoe mount. And so you can push it all the way forward if you're using it on a hybrid camera where you have a viewfinder and you want to be able to hold your eye up to the viewfinder to get the microphone out of the way. If you're using a really wide-angle lens, you can push the microphone back so that the microphone is not in the shot. So it gives you all sorts of flexibility. The microphone is also very clean in terms of self-noise. We did our practical noise floor sample that we typically do, and the way that works is I record in this quiet space, do some talking, leave a moment of silence, or 5 seconds or more of silence, and then in post, I boost the levels so that they're at -23 LUFS. That's going to be based on the dialogue itself, and then measure that silent portion. And in this case, it came in at -65.5 dB RMS max. That's actually very good. So we're looking for anything under -60, and this microphone definitely delivers. Included with the kit is a foam cover, the fur windshield, a USB-C to USB-C cable, USB-C to 3.5 millimeter cable. In fact, 2 of those, one for most cameras and another for Sony cameras. And then there is also a 1/4 inch to 3/8 inch adapter thread for mounting the mic, whether it's going to be on 1/4 inch or 3/8 inch, depending on if you're using a boom pole or something else with a 1/4 inch thread. There's a 2-year warranty, which I believe is extended 6 months when you register your microphone, and the price of the microphone kit, with everything we listed here, is $99 US at the time of this review. 2 cons. Number 1, the fur wind cover is okay, but not amazing. So it's really nice that it comes with it, and it's going to help when you're out in slight breezes. If there's anything more than a slight breeze, or you move the microphone really, really fastly, some air will get through there and you'll get a little bit of that kind of low frequency sound. A high pass filter is going to be able to address some of that, so you're not generally going to get a lot of distortion, but if you do anticipate being out in the wind a lot, you'll probably want to look at other covers for the microphone, but if you're kind of in a regular everyday, it's probably fine. One thing we noticed is when we hooked this up to our Mac is that the input level wasn't quite as strong, even at all the way max on the gain, and sliding the dial up, or the little slider in Mac OS in the sound preferences to max, we were still peaking somewhere around minus 12 dB. So if you are planning to use this for live streaming, for example, you may want to boost it a little bit. Say if you're using OBS, you'll want to boost it just a little bit in OBS to get the levels where you need them. The good thing is that that also makes sure that you're not going to clip. So you can apply a compressor and really even things out and then boost it a little bit. And because the microphone doesn't produce a lot of self noise, it should be okay to add that digital boost in post. Now, one of the biggest questions I think people are going to ask is, what about this mic versus the Rode VideoMic Go 2 or the new Rode Video Micro 2? I have not used the Micro 2, so I can't speak from experience on that particular mic. However, on the Rode VideoMic Go 2, a couple of things. Number one, the DEITY doesn't have all the fancy software stuff that mic has, but it does have physical controls. So you do have a physical gain dial, which I actually really, really prefer. That to me is more important than having a mic that evidently has, that has all these additional things you can do with it in terms of compressors and so on. But if you don't have any physical controls, that's a little bit of a downside. So in my subjective opinion, I prefer the D4. Overall, this is a pretty strong contender in the sub $100 camera top shotgun microphone category. The sound is, again, generally balanced, a little bit mid-forward voicing, but it does EQ really nicely, not overly sibilant. I think overall a good sound. I think for the price and everything that you get, there is a lot of value with the DEITY V-Mic D4. Hope that was helpful for you. If you have any questions, go ahead and leave those down below. And if you've not already subscribed, make sure you do that. And we'll be sure to get you more great videos on how to improve your lighting and sound for video. Talk to you soon.